Hi, in this video we're going to continue with the new OpenAI connector in Axway Amplify Fusion. If you haven't seen the first video, take a look at it because it talks about building the connector and then showing a hello world on how to use it. I have that right here, OpenAI test, and the OpenAI connector is here. Let me navigate to it. I just entered a model and I entered my API key, and then we configured a real simple hello world type of prompt which says you're an intelligent AI agent, and then we sent a user message which was hello OpenAI, and when we ran it we got a fairly simple response. Okay, there we go. And if we look at the response, it is a success, and the message is, hello, how can I help you today? Well, that's great, but it can't really do much with that. So in this example, what we're going to do is we are going to use the OpenAI connector in an application, which we'll describe in a minute, and we're going to ask it to respond with consistent JSON according to a schema. And that will allow us to parse the response and then use it in the rest of our integration. So let's clone this integration here. This test integration, let's call it number 2. And we'll do a product review moderator. Okay? So what we want to do here is, let's say I've got a product like the Axway Engage or Marketplace, which has the ability for API users to leave reviews. On top of that, it also has a webhook capability where the product owning team can be notified of a new review and they can check it and approve it before it gets published to the site, because someone could put personally identifiable information or harmful content in a review, and you would like to be able to moderate that. So, and it doesn't have to be from Axway's Engage, it could be from any place where reviews are being posted. So this application is using the OpenAI API connector in order to moderate review content. And to be honest with you, I worked this problem out on ChatGPT, and I got my prompt and my schema and everything, and I suggest you do the same thing when you're trying to solve a problem. Use ChatGPT or some LLM to work out your problem, and you'll have greater success in achieving your result. So here I am in my OpenAI chat component, and what I want to do is I want to change the prompt. And when I worked with ChatGPT to have a prompt, this is what they gave me. So, and it's required some iterative processing, but you're a customer review analyzer. Read the review text and return valid JSON only that matches the response. The response schema. So that's going to be the name of the schema that I'm going to provide, response schema. And the rules are down here. No duplicate. Sentiment must reflect the overall tone. Flag PII if the review contains personally identifiable information. Do not return commentary, explanation, or text outside of JSON. And it goes into a little more detail about PII is. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Just like that. All right. So that is the prompt. Let's now take care of the schema. So the schema looks like this, which is what I wanted to return. And here's a sample output, by the way. But here is the schema for that. And ChatGPT generated this. So I'm going to come here under the response format, and under JSON schema, I'll specify that. So that's kind of nice. This is going to force OpenAI to always return the data in that JSON format. And again, we said the name of that was response schema. All right, that's also in the prompt. And then finally, we want to send our message. I clone this so the type is still user, and the text is, if I look down here, the text is analyze customer review and return JSON matching the schema. And the review is whatever we put. So here's an example. It says, I love the API, but the documentation could provide more example as well as a Postman collection. Call me at 617-555-1212 for more feedback. So I copied that. And again, this would actually, what you would probably do here is if this was included in a flow, oh, I forgot this part. All right. If you were doing this in a flow, this part would be extracted from the pipeline. So you would have some variable that came from a webhook or, came from your review form, and then you would feed that in here. But we're not going to do that. We're going to hard code the review, and let's test it and let's see what we got. And we have that, and here's our response. Here's the message, and let's copy that. And you can see it returned a response according to that schema, and the sentiment is positive, and some of the positives are API, some of the negatives are documentation, and it did include PII. So you could then notify the product owning team if you'd like, or you could analyze the data and remove the PII, but here we saw how we could use the OpenAI connector and force it to return data in a JSON format so that we can parse that and use that in the rest of our integration. Thank you.